Hey guys, I'm really excited. I've got this quarto document that I call a fill-in-the-blank market analysis. I hope it works the way I've intended. I've tried it out a couple different times, but I've only got access to a couple different data sets that I can try. The idea is that you're going to be able to map your own data in the YAML of this quarto document to get it to work with your data. You change the names in the YAML, render the document, and you'll get a bunch of graphs and a map, and hopefully this will get you guys started in using R for market analysis. Now, I don't go over all the code and how all the code works in this video, but I do show you how the document works. So hopefully it will help you get to using RStudio, and then you can get comfortable using RStudio, and then maybe start tweaking some of the code for your own uses, or even reproducing some of the plots and changing some of the variables that are used. So without further ado, let's get into this fill-in-the-blank market analysis. Okay, I've got RStudio open and I have the fill-in-the-blank market analysis already loaded here in RStudio. And the point of this is that you can put in some of your data and get started with some market analysis using RStudio without having to write any code. You just need to kind of map your data to match what's being used in the code. So we're going to go through here. We're not going to explain all of the code. That's not the purpose of this, but you should be able to get your data mapped to this code, be able to run it, get a completed market analysis, and then be able to look through that code later and maybe make some modifications to it to generate your own plots if that's what you want to do. So I want to walk through this and show you guys how this works and what you need to do to get it to work with your data. Now, I've got instructions in here in most of the document, all these comments that are in here for your data import. We need to specify our file name, the type of file. Is it a .csv or .xlsx? Those are the only two file types that this will work with. And then we need to go through and tell the code exactly what your field names are. And we'll have to match some of those up. We've got some that you may or may not have, in which case we'll need to enter false in some of these. And you'll see through the rest of the document what we are going to do in the YAML header. Most of this takes place in the YAML header, which is this upper portion indicated by the 3 dashed lines and this outline box. We can minimize that by clicking this, and you'll see this is the YAML. The rest of these are code chunks, which are going to run the code for you using the mapping that you create in the YAML to import your data. So you shouldn't have to mess with any of this. You could actually, minimize most of these to run the document. You'll see there's some inline text, some narrative in here. A lot of these are plots, box plots, scatter plots, a lot of narrative to help you identify what's going on with some of the plots down below, and some of the filters that we're going to get into. These highlighted portions here in the kind of beige color are comments. Those will not end up in the output. They are instructions to you, and we don't want those to end up in the output in case you want to send that output to somebody. But you'll see the values used in the chunk below to filter to the CMS are from the params. So you shouldn't have to change any of this for these filters. We would do that in the params. Now, this chunk gives you a summary so that you could look at a summary of the first filter and then decide if you need to change some of those params. And you can turn this on or off. And you can read the instructions here to turn this off. You click on the gear at the right, which is here, and we would change this to show nothing, don't run code. Right now we'll leave it on so that you can see an example of this. And then again, we have some date filters, and it gives you instructions on how to turn that on or off if you want to filter by time. So you could include 3 years, data in your initial export, and then you could filter it down using this time component. And we'll get into that. So you've got some instructions in here. There's some instructions in some of the chunks that go along with some of these other instructions in the highlighted text. And that's about it. You shouldn't really have to change anything else in this code. Hopefully, I've got it written right so that you can use it to map your data and get up and running with a brief market analysis right away. So let's take a look at a sample. So the first thing we need to do is enter our data name. We can see down here I've got two different types right now. There's Golden Hills, and I've already got some data pre-loaded in here for this Golden Hills example. So we need to specify that we're using this file name here, Golden Hills. We want to make sure that the Quarto document and your data download are in the same folder. You know, ideally you're running this from a project. If you're not sure about how to do projects, take a look at the link. I'll put a link in here on how to create a project. You should always be working in a project. It really makes it work a lot better. It helps you stay organized. If you're not in a project, just make sure these two documents are in the same folder. So our Quarto document for our fill in the blank market analysis, and then your data download, whatever you have that named. Typically, I always name them ADF, but for this example, we've got two different ones in here, so we couldn't name them both ADF, and I want you guys to be able to see how this naming works. Now, I've already got the data type set up as .xlsx, so we're good there. Street num name. So these are the variable details that we need to map. So we need to make sure that these names that we enter here exactly match what your data download has. Well, how do we do that? Well, let's just go ahead and click on this Golden Hills. We'll import the data set for now. We're not going to change anything here. We're just going to click import. Once it imports, we can close this preview. We can click this blue circle here to open the data set, and we get a list of the street names. Otherwise, if you needed to, you could do, names down here in the console and the name of the data set, which in this case is Golden Hills. We get the predictive text there, and that gives us all the names. I like to just work out of the environment because I can see all the names here. So do we have a street number name? No, we have two separate fields in this file. We have a street number and then a street name. So this is already set to false because we don't have a single field for those. Street number, street name, we need to enter them exactly as they are in our export. So this is street space number. This is street space number over here. We want those to match exactly. Same thing with street name. We'll put our space there. We've got city. It's a single word. We're good there. Our address zip, we need to have a dash in there. Sale date is selling date in here. It's selling space date. So we need a space in there. We have selling price, which is selling space price. So we'll do that. We have listing space date. You can see that matches over here. Our list price, we have a current list price. Current list price, it's CURR space, LIST space. And make sure the capitalization is the same as well. So square footage, it's a space. Bedrooms, year built, we need a space there. Lot size dash acres. So this data set is in acres. We want to specify what our lot format is here, and that's because we have some narrative that's going to specify which it is. So you would enter either SF for square feet or acres. Now, bath fields. This can be tricky. We've got different types of things going on with several bath fields. You've got UAD formatting. We've got single fields. We have multiple fields. In this case, in this data set, I've got two separate fields. I have this baths full and baths half. So this TB is if you have a total bath field and that's the only field that you have for baths. You would enter the name of that field here. In this case, we have baths full and baths half, so we'll leave it next to our full bath and half bath, and we're good there. And we'll see in the next data set that we have just a single field, and so we'll do it a little bit differently there. And then here for the subject info, we can enter our subject information. We're going to put in the address, the city, the zip code, your state, the living area of the subject, year built, lot size. Lot size, you want it to match whatever lot format you put here so that we're comparing apples to apples. So if you need to convert from square feet to acres or vice versa, do that here so that it matches. And then our subject bedroom count, our subject full bath, and subject half bath. We want to enter those separately here because we have code that will combine those into a single field later, and we'll get it to match up with what's happening with the fields here so that we can do some highlighting for those things. Our effective date, you want to enter it in this format: 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit day with dashes. Okay, and we've got the format specifier here in case you forget. Now this last section are our CMS filters. These are the values we're going to use to create filters to narrow down from our ADF to our CMS. We're going to have a GLA low, a GLA high, year built low, year built high, lot low, lot high, and notice these also need to be in the same format. If we're using acres up here, we want to use acres down here so that we get apples to apples filters and results. And then this last two have to do with the date of sale. If we want to use the time filter, I have this set up separately. So if you want to run a year's worth of data, but you exported 3 years worth of data, you can turn this to Y for yes or N for no, and we will add that filter in. And then you just enter the days back that you want to go. Maybe you just want to go back 9 months, you can put in your 9 months. You want to put in go back 6 months, go back 6 months. But be sure to enter that in the number of days. So if you want to go back 6 months, we do 180 days here. So now these other filters, there's no yes or no available for those. So if you don't want to use GLA, you would basically just have to set the low at 0 and the high at 10,000, and it'll bypass those. Same with year built. You could do a 100-year range to capture everything in your results. So we are ready to go here. So we are going to click this render button. When we click render, it will save a copy of this. So since we have another one coming up, I'm going to save this as, save this as our Golden Hills. I'm just going to save it in the same folder. We can see here it is now saved as fill in the blank market analysis Golden Hills. So you would want to do that so that you don't accidentally change some of the code or something like that. You don't have to, but I recommend just saving one as your template to use over and over. So we are ready to go here. I'm going to click render, and our results should pop up here. We'll give it a minute here. Keep your fingers crossed. It's running through. Looks like everything's going to work. It's geocoding the properties. And here is our market analysis. We have a nice little header with the subject address, author, which you would want to change your name up here. The date is automatic. It's pulling from the system date. If you don't want the system date, just take out everything between the double quotes and change that to the date that you want. That is automatically set up to use whatever day that we run the document, that we render the document. So we get this neighborhood analysis with a histogram for the entire neighborhood, box plot of sale prices for the entire neighborhood, neighborhood price index. So it looks like the entire neighborhood is going up, but of course we don't want to use that for our market conditions. We will do that on the CMS, and you'll see that down further in the document. We get box plots to see how the subject fits into the ADF for living area, and the subject is identified by the blue point. So this is the subject. This is the predominant range, 25th to 75th percentiles, and the dark line in the middle of a box plot is the median. If you're not sure how to use box plots, I've got videos on box plots. Be sure to check those out. But we've got box plots for year built distribution for the neighborhood, lot size distribution. So we'll help you set up some of those parameters here for your filters. For these filters here, you can see where the subject falls in there. So if you need to redo this, you can change these filters and just click render and get a whole new document. But let's continue with this document. We have our competitive market segment. Now this is kind of an ugly chunk here, but this is a summary. It's a summary function. It gives you descriptive statistics for every variable that we have in our data set. So you can use this as well to help filter the competitive market segment if necessary. And you see here, you can turn on and off. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. We'll change a couple of the parameters for the CMS filters, and then we'll run this again with this turned off. And we do this once before we filter for date and again afterwards. So there's two of these summaries. And we give the criteria that was used to narrow the CMS. So you could copy that, paste that right into your addendum or your market condition section to show how you came up with this CMS results. So we filtered 1350 to 2,000 square feet, year built of 1980 to 2000, lot size of 0.3 to 0.75 acres. And then it was further filtered to include only those competing sales within the past 365 days. Although I think I only pulled 365 days of data, so that didn't really do anything. But we'll see. I'll turn that off in the next one, and you'll see how this will automatically change and delete this line of code. And then here is the summary for the filtered CMS with the date filter in there. So you can see the ranges of dates, but go ahead, explore that on your own. We don't need to go over that here. We get the sale price distribution for the CMS, a couple of characteristics. Those matching the subject are highlighted. So 3 bedrooms, the most common type of property in this neighborhood, that's the subject. Same with bath counts. We've got 2.0 baths in here. That's the most common. So it's highlighted to match whatever matches the subject. So we can see that the subject fits well into the CMS. Now we get into some market trends. Our first price index is by sale price. Simple linear regression tells us the market is changing at a rate of minus $200.44 per day. So there's your time adjustment using sale price on the CMS. And then we do this price index on price per square foot. So you can see if there's some sort of compositional effect going on in there, if that would be affected. These look like they match up pretty well. So I would say that this market is declining, and price per square foot, we're going down -8 cents per square foot per day. And then we have a map of where all these sales are. Subject is circled in red. Each one, if you click on it, will give you the address, the sale date, sale price, and then you can see that there is a legend over here. We can turn the legend off if you want. You can turn off the markers or hide the subject. We can go to a dark map, maybe make these circles pop a little bit more. So that is it for our first data set. Let's go ahead and change some of this around, and we will run another one. Okay, I've got a couple of these parameters changed for the GLA, and I've turned the time off. So let's see how that affects this document. You can see here we've got, it was further filtered. So let's just render this and see how this changes. You can see it is updating the document here. That's one of the unique features of Quarto versus R Markdown and Knitter. It would not do that. So you can see that line saying that we further narrowed the data set down by date is gone. Okay, So that's gone, and I changed the GLA parameters so we can see there's no more 4-bedroom homes included in this data set. So that's how quickly you get a new set of graphs. But let's change one more thing, and that's to turn these summaries off. So at this navigation item here, this little menu bar, you can go right down to this summary. You have CMS1 summary and CMS2 summary. We'll click the first one and we turn this. Oh, we don't want the filter off. Sorry, we want the summary. So we turn the summary, show nothing, don't run code. And we need to go down to the CMS2 summary right here where that comment is added in the highlighted text. And we will click the gear and show nothing, don't run code. So now we can, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. So this one we want to show nothing, run code. This one below here, I think it moved on me. We show nothing. Okay, and you notice it adds in these options, eval false, include false. So let's render this document again, and we should see this disappear. So we're at 93%, and there we go. So those summaries disappeared. So if you wanted to send this document to someone, you can turn those summaries off. So it looks a little nicer, it looks like a little more finished product. So that is it for our Golden Hills example. So let me take a minute. I'm going to change out some of these subject information and these mapping for our field names. And we'll get that set up for the next one, which was from an entirely different MLS in the Bakersfield market versus the Tehachapi market. Two different MLSs, so we'll see that in just a second here. Okay, I've got this all changed. So you now see our data name is Campus Park, and we're going to import a CSV file. Let me just show you the files here. We've got this Campus Park CSV file still in the same folder. So we will be pulling from that data file now. We've remapped these. So in this one, we have a single street number and name field. We don't have separate numbers and names. Our city's a little bit different. Our listing price is slightly different. Our lot size now is in square footage. And our bathrooms, we have a single field. So both of these have been changed to false here. And that is about it. Of course, we've changed the parameters for our filters. We have a different property. So we will go ahead and render this. And I will show you too, where I didn't show you this last time, but where this lot format shows up. But you can see we're in square foot now. So our subject lot size is entered in square feet, and our lot low and high are also entered in square feet. So that's important. If you mix those up, acres versus square feet, then you'll get zero results because it's going to be looking for, you know, a half acre to 1 acre, but we're going to be in square feet, which will be, you know, 6,000 to 20,000. So it'll be outside those ranges. So you want to be sure to change those to match when you're switching between different MLSs or different data sets. So let's render this and see how it goes. Well, I did not save this as it's still named Golden Hills. So be sure to change that if you're changing your data set. But now you can see we've got a whole new property in Bakersfield. We still have the same date, the same graphs. We're just getting different distributions, different sale prices, different trends. We can see this one, the square footage is not within the box plot. Even the year built is very, I would say it's probably right on the 25th percentile there at 1985. Our lot size is right on the median. And we can see now we're back to having it filtered by the days. I left the summaries off. And we can see the there are some 2-bedroom homes in here and 3 bedrooms. A 3-bedroom is common. Our bathrooms, we can see here, this is 1.75. We have a single bathroom field from this MLS, and they don't adhere to UAD standards. They still include 3/4. So the way the bathrooms are handled is differently. So it's set up to match what if we have a single field or double fields in our data providers or in our data sources. And you can see we've got, trends, sale price going up, price per square foot's not going up as much as the sale prices, so it might be something you want to investigate, but they're both trending upward, although it looks like price per square foot is taking a turn down. So again, something you would want to look at, but you can reconcile between these two to come up with your time adjustment. And then we have a map. Again, we are now in Bakersfield. Looks like we've got a property next door. That might be our best comp right there. Everything else is pretty much the same here. Now, this is where that lot format comes in for us. This lot format here, SF, that is where it is used. So when we're writing our narrative on how the CMS was filtered, we get that in the same measurement units as our data and our subject property. So you want to be sure to change that in the YAML. So that is it. That is how this document works. If you didn't get a copy of this, be sure to use the links in the description, and you can get that downloaded absolutely free. And it's at a site called Buy Me a Coffee, but there's absolutely no cost involved. It's just a site where it's secure and you can download it. So if you have any questions, post them in the comments. Hopefully this gets you started in running market analysis in R. Hopefully this works. If you run into problems, be sure to hit me up. I'd be happy to help you. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you guys out. We'll see you on the next one.